Hey, welcome back to James' Repair Shop. Well, back on the 65 Thunderbird convertible. So this video that I'm making today, or for this episode, will be part 2 of episode 69 of the inner wheelhouse restoration part of it. And I moved ahead, I kind of set that wheelhouse aside, and if you should go back and kind of watch what I was doing there. If not, you can just pick up where we are right here. But if you want to go back and look at episode 69 and give you a little more context on what's happening here, that'd be great. If not, we'll just carry on. In that episode 69, I took the outer wheelhouse out. So I split the wheelhouse in the middle and took the old one out, and I have a donor one that I got from my parts car, which needs some restoration itself. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And it's sitting right here. So when I took it off on episode 69, I set it aside, and you know what? I didn't do anything else with it. So now it's time to do a little more with it before we move ahead with reconstructing the wheel arch. All right, so in order to get at where we need to be with this, I'm going to have to roll this car. So I want that rear rear driver's side quarter up where I can work on it. So let's go ahead and get this car rolling. That's going to clear the garage door opener. There she goes. And I'm going to put it up just slightly the other way. And then we'll see if we can get back there. All right, let's try that. So this is the old original one that I took out of the convertible. And then I took my donor one and I overlaid the I did an overlay of the old one. Now, what I'm finding is, if I can get this where you guys can see it. So what I'm finding here with this overlay, it makes a great template actually. And I'm not going to worry about up here because it's all sitting on top. So what I found with this was that a couple of spots aren't formed right. And I did this on some on the English wheel, some with the bead roller. And it didn't turn out the way I expected. So what I did, I split the lip that I rolled with the bead roller. I tipped it. I split that, took it off, or mostly off. I'm just leaving it there for now. It's just, well, tacked on one end and it's not cut off there. So, but this area here is not high enough. And some right in behind that. This whole section right here is not high enough above the arch. So this is what it should be. It should be a really quite a sharp out turn there, if you can see that or not. So I'm going to try it on the English wheel again. I know I had it on the English wheel before, but I'm going to try it upside down this time with a really quite an aggressive radius. And I'll see if I can get anything done that way. I'm going to definitely have to grind those welds off. I love this apron, this shop apron, the leather one. It works really good. If you don't have one and you're going to do a lot of grinding, save your clothes that way. Plus, it hides the belly. Anyway, I got a rough grind. Now, if this were one of those fancy channels, I would go over it with a DA sander and make it look like there's no marks in it. But I'm not that fancy. So now I'm going to get the template and put it back on. And that did bring it up some, but where it needed to go up, where it needed to be flattened out more than anything, is right where that weld was. So the weld was stopping me from getting what I wanted. But I'm going to keep working on it. And it needed to be ground anyway. If you guys have been following my channel, for the ones that have been, you know I hate grinding. But there it is. So now I'm going to go back over to the other side of the car. And I have it's a massive, it's like an anvil, but it's a big metal. You'll see it. And I'm going to try to pound this out. So I'll grab myself a good hammer. And I'm going to try to lay it over and bring this out some. I could try it on the English wheel first. Put a flatter, like a flatter radius on. And just bring it out some. I'm going to try it on the English wheel first. Okay, let's go over there. Alrighty, here we are back at the English wheel, if you call it an English wheel. Anyway, it is what it is. It's my Princess Auto, the cheapest one they sell. So let's see if we can get this, not quite that much radius on it. Something a little less. Something like this. There we go. And I'll see if I can, no, I'm gonna go the other way, like this. See if I can move this up some. Might be able to, at least it'll smooth out the welded area, if nothing else. Yeah, at least I can smooth out the welded areas, like I said. Oh yeah, that's better. It feels better. You can tell, no welds make a big difference. All right, what do we got? Well, that brought it out some. Now this line here needs to be more defined. Let's see where my template go. Let's see how much better it fits. Or my guide plate here. All right. Well, I think I'm going to have to push that up. I'll put it over this steel bench and I'm going to hammer on it. Make sure that's in the right places, because it's still low there. It's actually pretty good right here now, and she's low right there. Line up these old grid lines. There we go. Like that, so it gets down in there. Not too bad. It needs to come up a little bit. So I think I'm going to lay it over this metal block here and see if I can pound it forward, the whole thing. I can always bring that back down. I've got a couple of different hammers. I've got my body hammer, got my nylon forming hammer, and a ball peen. But I'm going to try to start with the nylon hammer first. So all I'm trying to do is get this to be pushed out further. So let me see what I can do here with this. So I got the against my, this is a solid block of steel. It must be 3 inches thick. So I have the lip right against that indentation. So I'm just trying to get along so I can form that wheel arch out some. And it's going very easy. I think it got pulled in with the heat. The welding heat, because I didn't spare it any when I was doing that. Oh my, I lost the wedge out of my thing. Oh, hold on. Like I said, if it goes too far, I can push it back. This can come off. Put that over there. I'll get that later. All right, what's it look like now? Where's my old wheel arch? Or not wheel arch, but my old wheelhouse cover here. That's coming out some. I get these down and this right down in place. So I think this whole area where this bead is sagged in. So I'm going to bring it up first before I do any more outer stuff. This whole bead right here is pushed, it's tipping down, it should be outward. So, yeah. I'm gonna grab the ball peen hammer for that. There we go. Now, so yeah, that whole thing. So let's see. more yet. Stay there, will you? So I brought that out some. This whole line I brought out a little further, and I may have to go back into the wheel a little farther with that. That's coming now. See, it's coming up there now a little bit. That one's pretty darn good right there. I just bring this outer part up some, another common time. But yeah, a little bit more here on this. This is too far out because it's not letting it settle down. So before I move any more of it, before I move any more, I'm going to push this down, and that'll let this come out some. This whole thing I'm going to take down a little bit. Because it needs to have a line put in it, right where that marker is. Alright. It'll get uglier before it gets better. Alright, that's pulled back up there again, but you guys are getting the idea. This is still high. You can see it buckled back up. This probably needs to be shrunk a bit. But this is coming up now. Still a little gap in it, but I'm going to go and I'm going to fold this a little more yet. I'm going to try to bring out this line a little better. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and once I get it all fitted, I'll show you. Well, that turned out okay. That's just laying on there, so there's no pressure on that my template there. So it's coming along nicely there. It's going to need a little bit more, just a tiny bit more work in here, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. No one will ever see it. And this all sits down pretty good. I mean, if I clamped it, it would be tight, but you get the drift. All right, so I'll take that off. I'm going to call it quits for the forming. Set that aside to save that. We're not done with it yet. Don't throw away your stuff too soon. So there we are. So I'm going to run it through the English wheel a little bit to get rid of some of these bumps, just to smooth it out some, but I think that's pretty good. All right, let me get that done and we'll go from there. I ran it through the English wheel a little bit, and that's fitting pretty good. Like, now I still have to deal with this wheel arch thing, but that's coming down there pretty nice. You get it down all the way in place like it's supposed to be. It's pretty good. Took a lot of those hammer marks out. Put a little more radius in right here. There's a couple of welds that broke from the pounding, so I'll have to fix those up. But it's fitting pretty good, so let's go over to the car and see how it kind of fits in the car. I've got it up in place. the outer wheelhouse. Now I'm not going to put this lip on yet because I have to make sure that there's enough clearance for the piece that goes on here, that patch panel I built for the wheel arch patch panel. But what I have to do now is in here, this piece, this new metal, this is another part of the wheelhouse rehab part, or the rebuilding of this wheelhouse, this outer wheelhouse, is this piece here was rusted off. So this is a piece of the flange. I'm not going to tack that on. This was just there for reference to try to get a shape for it, because it all has to stay in. So inside of where the quarter panel goes on over top, the quarter panel skin, the extension of this right here, and it comes down and it wraps around underneath here and it welds. You see those holes? That's where I took the spot welds out of. I drilled the spot welds out of for that wrap. So this all has to be less than the outer skin. So I have to get this brought in. This is good there, but right here and all the way down, that has to be up underneath behind this rail. And then this has to be filled in, because the quarter panel piece, this part right here, comes down and wraps around it. And it's the same as the rocker. It goes in as far as the rocker does. But the rocker ends there, and this is where the quarter panel wraps around. This rocker needs some repairs done to it to receive the piece with the quarter panel. Anyway, let's get this back out, and we'll weld this piece on. Got this in my little bench here, and I'm going to mark this because I got to grind that off a bit. There. I'm going to take my grinder. I'll take this off. These clecos out. I'm going to clean up that weld area a bit. This is the joy of the clecos. So much easier. So what I'm going to do here with this will be a cut and butt situation. Alright, I'm going to clean up this weld area. Now put this back on. I'll do it through here because I'll be doing a cut and butt. Okay, there we go. There. Clecos to the rescue. Alright, so now I get my welding machine, I'll tack that on. And all set up here, I'm going to do a few tacks, and then I'll take those clecos out, and we'll start doing a cut and butt. Good. Well, the machine seems to be tuned in pretty good. So I'll get rid of these clecos, because when I start doing the cut and butt, I want to be able to peel that other piece back. One out. Another one out. Alright, now I'll start cutting it. Now, the part you need to do on these cut and butts is make sure that the old piece doesn't get welded to the new piece. Okay, like that. Like it was. Alright. Now, let's get this in place here. Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna get this all welded in. I gotta go right around. I gotta go down there too as well. Alright, let me get this done. I'll get back to you. So now I've gone ahead and I've formed this piece because I forgot this needed to be replaced. I went and cut it off and it actually didn't need to. I needed to just bring it down. So anyway, I'm going to weld it back on. Not a big deal. But I went and formed it over my anvil. And that'll get that, and I'll get that welded on, and we can cut that one out too. Alright, okay, let me get this welded in and I'll get back to you. Okay, I've got that piece welded in and I put it back in the car here. So this is kind of what it looks like. This will need to be cut off on that line because that's how they work from the factory. There needs to be a hole put in it right there. I think that's a 3/4 hole, but I'll have to check the size. I'll go to my 65 hardtop, figured out. Got some grinding to do, but before I do the grinding, I'm going to put this piece of flange on. Since I already had it there for a reason, and I think it fits perfectly like that. And if I have to extend it or cut it off, I'll do that. So, and we have this piece right here. It's wrapped around. Now I had fallen down some. I can push it up so it clears all that. It needs to be ground off anyway. And a few taps with a hammer, straighten that out some because it's tipped downward, so I'll have to tap that out, and then I'm going to weld this on. I think that'll be good. And this here is for the actual quarter panel right here. This is the actual quarter, and that's got bent out some, but I'll bring it back in. That piece right here will be equal as here. That's a flat, and then it comes down and curves. Well, that's up in place with the clecos. This is all welded in. I think that's going to be good. Like I said, this has to be cut off, hole put in. The hole I'm going to wait on. I can drill that anytime. And then of course these, when the time comes to weld this all in, but there's some grinding to do. And there's a little piece up in here has to be cut out and new metal put in that's rusted out. But that's just where the flange joins onto, and that's where it goes all the way up around for that flange. So I can do that pretty much any time as well. So what's going on with this wheel arch or outer wheelhouse? I can't install it just yet. You know how I said I was going to weld all along? Well, I can't do it yet until I get the quarter panel arch finished and this stuff finished, or ready to be finished, made anyway. Main reason is I want to go behind the quarter panel when I weld all this stuff in. I want to double weld it, and that quarter panel is not taken off. And this whole section here has to be rebuilt. So if I put the wheel arch, or the wheel arch, but the outer wheelhouse back in now, or when it's ready, then I'm not going to have, that goes in like that. That's why that was out further. There, that's better. Anyway, so getting back on track, sorry, distraction there. If I put this outer wheelhouse in now, I'm going to lose access to all this quarter panel. So I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to call it quits on this video. It's probably getting long anyway. And I'm going to do some more work off camera. Like some of this stuff in here needs to get done. They're up in there. That has to get refinished. Now that can be done anytime. The outer wheelhouse is pretty much finished except for this spot right here. So I can do that off camera as well. But anyway, thanks for watching everyone. And we'll catch you in the next one.